No, I mean, you can turn it on. That's not going to stop.
It's on,
you.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
We've been on Twitch for 30 minutes now.
Yeah, trash talking about people is now live.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So anyway, fuck that guy.
Well, I mean, to be honest, we've only trash talked Tom. So
That's fair.
So is it really trash talking?
No, I guess not. I would assume not.
Hold on.
Since he could just, be in the Discord if he wanted to.
Well, he's playing his game right now, so
Whatever.
since I didn't send him a personal invitation to come on the chat.
Got to get that personal invitation out there, otherwise people don't know if you don't invite them.
To know. I'm going to send him an evite next time.
Yes. Calligraphy. And paper.
What am I supposed to be looking at? Oh yeah, the shared drive. There we go.
I don't know. What are you looking for?
The show notes.
Oh, they're your show notes.
It's not like you guys don't have access to them.
I'm just saying, like, you have them, so you should have access to them.
I just have to remember where I put them. So we're only, 15 minutes late? Perfect timing.
5?
Oh.
You said 8:15. It's 8:20.
Oh, yeah.
Only 5 minutes late.
I only have 20/50 eyesight. It's okay. Perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
My quote-unquote one good eye. All right, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to move all this shit around. There's too much shit going on.
We have 3 viewers, and you're not talking, so
what? No,
you're
sorry.
You're failing terribly at your job.
We're not officially on yet. All right, we can start whenever you want.
Sure. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TFG Radio. I'm here once again with John.
Hello.
Because you can tell he's excited to be here. Danny will be joining us soon. He will be on fairly soon. He just has to take care of some stuff before we start. We have a fairly packed show. As everyone knows, we had a Bay Area Open this weekend. I was unable to go due to work. John, however, was able to swing it
at the very last minute. Yep,
and pulled a classic John. Oh well,
no.
You didn't change an army,
John. That's true. I just cobbled something together that I knew how to play real quick and didn't practice with it at all, really. So
right.
That was
So nothing like what you may have done before.
Well, what I've done before is taken an army and then hey, I want to change my list at the last minute. This was deciding to go to an event at the last minute. And then being like, hey, does anybody have a second Castellan I can use?
Spoiler, the result was the same.
The result was nowhere near the same.
Were less games back then.
That's true.
Narrator, it did not go well.
It did not go well.
Thank you, Danny. So for those that don't know, BAO did change their format this year. They went with a more or less an LVO format.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 days of 6 games, then top 8 make it to the single elimination on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, John, why don't you go through your list real quick and let us know.
Sure. So, let's see up on the home screen. So my list was a Imperial Knight super heavy detachment with 2 Castellans, however you want to say it, and also Gallant. And I was like, well, they nerfed it, but if I take 2, then maybe
as good as 1, right?
Maybe it'll be as good as the original. Really, I took 2 because I was like, nobody's going to
Z-Ray is 2 better.
Yeah, right. I was like, nobody's going to expect the Spanish Castellan Inquisition, so I'm going to take 2. And then the other part of it was a Astra Militarum Battalion, and it had 2 company commanders, 3 infantry squads with mortars, and then a heavy support squad with mortars. So basically what I did actually was I took the list that I took to BAO last year, and I was like, okay, well, I'd sold all those nights because I did not expect to be able to play in any tournaments until September. I was like, oh, wait, I can go to the Barry Open on the Monday before it started. And I was like, well, I better cobble something together. And I know how to play nights. So I was like, well, let's take my list from last year
and make it worse.
Make it different because the Castellan went up. So I took out the Crusader and I took out a Gallant and I added a Castellan and a heavy weapon squad. And that was that. That's how I changed it. So the list.
You made it worse.
Yeah, I guess so. I made it worse. There's a lot of things in hindsight I wish I had done, but again, I decided I was going Monday and I left on Thursday.
Would you say you were pressured into it by certain people to go?
No. As soon as I realized I could, yeah. And
please,
Reese,
I would rather you say that.
pressured into it by Reese and Danny.
Yeah.
Because Reese called me out live on the internet as like, hey, I think that this guy could win it. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even going. And he's like, oh, well, I said, as far as I know, these people were going. I was like, God damn it. So I don't know if I was pressured into it as much as like I had thought I definitely could not because of work. And then it turned out I could. And then I made it work with the rest of my life. And I was like, well, I guess we're doing this. And I did not play a single game in preparation with the double Castellan list. And I believe if I had, I probably would have done something different. It really wasn't that bad. It's not good, but it wasn't that bad. Like I didn't, when I lost games and I lost 4, I did not get crushed in any of the games I lost. And the 2 games I won, I did crush people like by a lot of points. So it's one of those problem lists where like, it doesn't have quite enough to do well in a situation where like you needed to pull it out in the end. But if you are able to put your foot down on the gas early and just go, then it goes. And so it's just one of those kind of lists.
Well, let me ask you this. Double Castellan wasn't actually that good pre-nerf. What made you think it was good? What made you think it was good after?
I didn't really, but like I said, it was kind of like all I had to go on, and I really had no time to like prep or try. And I was like, well, Castellans are really good, and if I get some favorable matchups, then sure, whatever, it could work out. It didn't, which is fine. Like that happens. You're gonna play in tournaments, and sometimes you're not gonna do well. This ties for my second or my worst showing ever in a tournament. So
your worst showing was it LVO or BAO?
My worst showing ever is this one and Hammer of Wrath last year.
Oh, and
I've always gone either like 50% or winning record. I've never won outright. I've gone undefeated in a Bay Area Open, but I've never won like outright. And at Bay Area Open, actually, normally I'm either like because Bay Area Open used to be 5 rounds when I started playing. I was always like 3-2. I don't think I ever did 4-1 when it was still 5 rounds, but like I don't know. I mean, it wasn't the 2. Like I said, the 2 games I won pretty handily, but the 4 games I lost were all very, very close. So my first round was a hard matchup against Sean Morgan and his Flyers, and that game could have gone differently a couple of ways. If I'd gotten to pick the side of the table, I could have taken the side of the table that actually had terrain. As opposed to the side of the table that I got, which had 0 terrain basically to hide mine, like nothing. It was a hammer and anvil deployment, so the board all had all of the like big L-shaped terrains and stuff like that at the other end. So that was going to be rough no matter what. And if I'd gotten a couple of better rolls and a little bit more luck against his Flyers, then it would have also been different, but I didn't, and that's fine. It's a dice game. That's going to happen, And let's see,
Especially when you take a skew-ass list.
That's true. When I take a skew list, it's totally going to happen. Which BAO did I go undefeated at? Sad Clown? Last year's. I was 6-0 last year and got second place behind Don Husen. And then my second round game was against Orcs. And that's a really bad matchup because there was just too many Orcs. And so basically what happened in all the games I lost to Eldar Orcs twice, Horde Orcs twice, and Dark Eldar. And in every one of those games, what happened was my list just petered out in turns 5 and 6. Like in turns 5 and 6, I was barely scoring anything, if at all, and my opponent was scoring like maxes and bonuses, and that turned the game every time. My game against Dark Eldar, I lost 21-20 or something like that. I lost by 1 point. On the last turn, basically. So that was close. The Orc ones were all close too. So I mean, they weren't bad games, and I think that if I had done what I really should have done, which was done 1 Castellan, 1 Valiant, and then filled out the points I made up for the Castellan and the Valiant with Guard, it would have been much, much better.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say, as much as I relished John's score,
yes.
that all of none of the losses were in any way like, oh man, like you got screwed. If you look at BCP and you look at like actual battle points, like John's score, if it was a battle point tournament, you would have been well into like the top 30%.
Yeah.
You mean not a real tournament?
Right.
Well, yeah.
We're just looking at the metrics a different way. Because when you look at things in pure win-loss, that's awesome for like determining the overall winner, but it doesn't tell you a lot necessarily about the actual performance of the person in the list in the games themselves. To do that, you have to look at the battle points.
Yeah, because there's plenty of games that, well, even then, sometimes there's a close game, but then it doesn't seem close because scores might be wide apart.
Yep.
Right.
Which happened a lot more in previous editions of the ITC missions.
Yeah.
Not so much the current ones.
Yeah, and then the 2 games I won, one was against Death Guard and another one was against Eldar. And again, that game had flyers and stuff in it too. But I got much, much better rolls. So like in my game against Sean Morgan, the first turn, I didn't kill a single one of his flyers, which is just not good. Not so good. The second time I played Eldar, I took out both flyers, I think either turn 1 or I took out 1 a turn, 1 and 2, and that was that. And then his Wave Serpents, I couldn't do anything to any of that stuff because I really needed to focus on killing the flyers first, because those are the things that were really doing damage. But then his Wave Serpents were also doing a lot of damage just through volume of fire, So that was a rough matchup. Sean's a really good player, and I'd never played him before. Really? We've been in a lot of tournaments together, yeah, but we've never actually matched up. So that was cool. It's always nice to play new players and play players that you know from podcasts and things like that, and you know from the internet. Like we both write articles for Frontline Gaming, so it was cool to play somebody that I know, but I've never been able to actually play before.
Yeah, I've never played against him at a tournament either, but then I don't usually win. So,
well, if you play in round 1, you don't have to.
No, I guess not.
I figured that out. That happened pretty quick.
So any other highlights from the weekend?
It was just
that you can mention.
No, it's just a really fun weekend. Yeah, that I can mention. It was a really fun weekend. I don't really like the hotel setup that much. Like, if you wanted to get food that wasn't super overpriced, you had to go. There was a small town nearby, which isn't a big deal, but still, then you're taking an Uber and stuff, or one of you has to drive, and then you lose your parking spot in the tiny parking lot. Mm-hmm. So during the day, you were kind of stuck at that hotel, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it happens. The restaurant there was absolutely horrific, just horrendous. I mean, it was. They had basically no wait staff. The wait staff they did have was not good at all. I don't know. It was cool having it. It was cool having it Kubla Khan, but I'm not salty. I'm just saying it was cool to have it at Kubla Khan, but you lose a lot when it's the con is not Frontline Gaming's to run.
Okay.
We were not at the same hotel as the rest of the con, so even if I won or lost fast, which I generally did, there was nowhere to go. There was nothing to do. It was not like at LVO where hey, I could go wander off and go play those, go look at the other games in the other rooms, or anything like that. And It was nice to not be in Game Castle's like super tight in area because they didn't overfill the area they had. But I do miss the fact that it wasn't at a game store. There wasn't the Trader Joe's right next door. That was always a nice. At Game Castle there was the Trader Joe's right there. So if you just wanted a snack, there was plenty of restaurants around that to go to. And this one, like I said, you either had to like leave and lose your parking spot, or take an Uber, or like fight the terrible wait service. I mean, I'm really not overstating it when I say that the wait service was bad. Like that was a very, very common complaint, that like the food came out wrong all the time. It was slow. It was like impossible to get your check. Like it was everybody was complaining about the same thing from that place. So it's not just like me being like, oh, my hamburger wasn't done well one time. Like after we went there for breakfast the one time, we did not bother going back for anything but a drink at the bar. And even then it was like a ridiculously long wait to get a drink at the bar. So, but like none of that's the fault of Frontline Gaming. That's issues with the hotel, you know? So,
right.
Would I go
everyone
back? I don't know if I would go back, actually, if it's there again at Kubla Khan.
Really?
Yeah. I really did not. There were aspects of it I really did not like. I always liked Barry Open because it wasn't like a big con type thing. It was like more intimate, and either at the barn thing or the game store or the top of the top of the convention, that little convention center thing at the top of the parking structure. Like it was always its own thing. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. Also, that time of year is really hard for me. Like I'm not confident at all I'd be able to go again if they do it at the same time period.
It was easier for you to do.
Oh yeah, July was way easy. Like I basically committed to always going to that. But I can't if it's in March or May most of the time. I think. July is just. That's the other thing. I really wish it was in the summer like the old one. Summer was way easier for me.
Well, I don't know how long it's going to be there for.
Yeah, I have no idea.
For the foreseeable future. Jeff Robinson did win overall, as many saw.
Yeah, his list was great. I talked to him a couple times about it and stuff. It was cool.
For a second GT win.
Yep.
His first being at Battle for LA.
This is a major.
Well, it's his first major.
Right, his first major. He got it. He got a GT.
To belittle my tournament.
I'm not belittling it. I'm just saying it's his first major.
You're just clarifying?
Yeah, I'm clarifying.
I'm going to take it as belittlement.
It's integrity. To have integrity.
So witty. So I think that one thing that came up and what one of our Patreon members wanted to ask us about was the spectator conduct, maybe not at the event, but at least on the stream. And John is more familiar with this than I am because John follows a lot of Twitch streamers, both in video games and on, especially during the LVO, where sometimes before GW took over, we would have to explain why things were the way they were to the FLG guys. I watched a little bit of it, especially the last round. I watched the quarterfinals and the finals on Sunday. And there seemed to be, I didn't think it was too bad, but there were a certain number of people that decided to try to make something out of nothing, really.
In terms of
just the conduct.
Allegations of
of cheating or something?
Yeah.
There was a lot of people claiming like, any little mistake was, oh, look at him trying to cheat, or this is happening. And
the internet's favorite pastime.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw a lot of it. We saw a lot of it at Top Table with Alex, in regards to Alex Harrison.
Well, I mean that was expected, and now basically what's happened is because of LGT and because of that stream, although we handled it exactly how we should have handled everything, and there was no cheating, despite what certain people want to claim that they know, even though I was the one standing right there.
You don't know, John. You only have two eyes.
I apparently don't know, because I was the one who actually touched the clock, and you could see it was my hand on the stream.
You weren't there, John. You don't know.
It was not my hand at all, not my watch. So I think that now what we have is we have a precedence and like a set kind of culture where we have to watch the streams to find the cheater. Like everybody's going to make a mistake, so we need to make sure that we find the mistake and make sure that we make a big deal about it in case it's a big enough deal that they need to like retroactively give up their title. Like that's like the thing now, which is stupid and sucks, but whatever. So now the thing is on Twitch for 40K is like watch every game so closely that you can figure out a way to gotcha somebody who you're not even playing against. Like I'm the one who found. I'm gonna use Jeff as an example because Jeff Robinson has super thick skin and knows I'm not serious. Like they want to be the guy who's like, oh yeah, Jeff was totally being rude and a dick, or Jeff was totally cheating, and so this is how he was cheating, and so now look at me, I'm the one who figured it out. I'm the one who posted the internet first.
There were instances in golf. I know of one instance in golf where someone watching it on TV actually called in a rules violation.
Yeah.
To the club, and it actually got someone either a penalty or got them ejected from the event.
I've heard of that too with golf. Yeah.
That's kind of amazing, actually.
I think if I remember right, it was a ball moved. Like they grounded their club, and the ball moved, and it was so like small that the guy himself didn't even notice because he wasn't looking at it.
Right.
And the judge was right there because golf's got judges all over the place too. The judge who was right there didn't notice because it was like almost imperceptible, but you could tell on TV. And sure enough, they went back and looked at it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, okay."
It's like, oh, I guess that guy is a dirty cheater.
Yeah.
So it's not something new. You put it that way.
I don't think it's new, but it's certainly a new part of like our culture for our game. Like it wasn't used to be like people would stand around and watch a game to find somebody cheating. Like they stand around and watch a game, and that was those players' game, and they left it alone. And like unless something was egregious, they didn't go and get a judge or like do whatever. Yeah. And the culture shifted away from that. So.
Yes, Sadcon. One of them actually was Harrison. So.
I don't know. I don't know who people are on the internet.
So like one of them was when Jim was playing against John Lennon. They were claiming that one of Jim's strategies was to move the clock to different parts of the table.
No, he had to move the clock to different parts of the table because that table was full of models.
I know that.
I was standing there once when he moved it, and he moved it like to the middle of the board because like that whole board was so full of models. Like seriously, if you can't tell that the board is so full of models while you're watching the actual game, are you actually watching that game?
No, a lot of those people aren't. That's the thing. Like you look at
they're not watching the actual game.
Talking, or they don't understand what they're seeing is more the common thing. You get people who no, I mean it's just really you get people who just really they like play 40K in the sense of like I don't know the way I used to play 40K when I was like 11 and like I own some of these models and I think I understand the rules, but their problem is they're grown ass men who really truly believe they understand the game and they don't.
Yeah.
And so they just, start making these wild kind of comments with, no real understanding.
Oh, he's moving the clock and that's affecting the game state. No, he's moving the clock because he doesn't want the clock to affect the game state because the clock is huge and he's got a giant army. And so does John Lennon. They have all these models and they have to get the models out of the way so they can actually play their game. Or they have to get the clock out of the way so they can actually play their game. But then the stream wants the clock on the stream. So if you move the clock off the stream complains because they can't see the clock, which I saw a couple of comments about that. Hey, how many minutes are left? Because I can't see the clock and I'm watching the stream and I can't see the clock. I thought there's supposed to be a clock. Where's the clock? And it's like, seriously? Like, guys, like you can't always have the clock on the stream. And they were getting upset because there wasn't like a dedicated clock cam and like there's an LVO. And it's just like, at that point, you got to understand that the people spectating online they're just out for something, like I was talking about earlier. They want a controversy. They're seeking out a controversy on purpose.
Yeah, and it wasn't from what I could tell, it wasn't everybody.
No, it was not everybody.
It was just select few, which is usually the case, like online.
Yep. Rabble rousers, lynch mob, what do you want to call it?
Rousers. But like we got a taste of it in person at LVO because everyone kept on coming up to us trying to tell us what Alex or not just Alex, but other players are doing or not doing.
Yeah, certain people were doing or not doing, or doing too much of or not enough of, or yeah. Let's see. Axis of Entropy says we need to listen to Chapter Tactics because Jeff goes on about this.
Well, I listened to it. Both Jeff and Jim are on to talk about their final game. And
cool.
the end, they both talk about that mentality, and especially for Jim, because in both of his games there are claims of him, especially with the one with John, of him cheating with the clock and some other stuff and bumping a model.
Yeah.
And with Jeff, it was more
all
of
silly
Jeff's
things.
Attitude.
But Jeff, that's Jeff's personality. Jeff's a professional online gamer. Like, he grew up playing StarCraft too. Like, that's, I don't know. It's hard because, yeah, is he personable at the table? No. But, like, does he have to be? I mean, not
if he's playing a casual game, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, Jeff has some great witty comments.
Yes.
In game, and like he definitely has a personality in that way, but like not everybody's going to play the game and try to be your best friend at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that, again, it comes down to people who are familiar with this game in the sense of they play it versus people who play competitively, right? Because it's that beer and pretzels idea of like, well, you're just supposed to be having some fun, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, that's sure, you should be having fun, but at the end of the day, if you're playing a competitive game, your job is to win. So sometimes that means you're not going to just banter back and forth. And also some people just don't vibe, right? Like,
or they don't want to banter.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jeff said it the best of like, the way he's going to play a game with someone like Brandon Grant, who's not going to respond at all to Jeff's kind of sense of humor or how Jeff tries to table talk. So there's no point in doing it, right? Like that would be more annoying to Brandon than just kind of the matter of fact, down to business. Let's play this game.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And yeah, just like you guys
I guess I'll have to listen to this episode of Chapter Tactics.
It's pretty good.
I mean, I'm not saying I would not normally, because I would love to hear Jeff and Jim. I just was not aware it even existed yet because I've been so busy.
Yeah, they put it. It just came out like a couple days ago.
Oh, cool.
But and there are some people that are just not. They just don't like to interact. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they don't have what we call the social skills.
Well, okay.
I just make it a Waterboy reference. I feel like we don't make those enough.
Could just skip all the Adam Sandler references. We'd be fine.
Oh, no. Waterboy is a great movie, so you can shut your heathen.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Podcast over.
I did like the fact that the top 8 was very diverse.
Yes.
Like, you had one Eldar, a Tau, a Chaos, 2 Custodes, but they were very different Custodes lists.
Yeah.
Like, Jeff's was very, like,
his was in
Custode shooting. And it was, well, so was Carlos's. Carlos had the Rusty 17.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, if we're going to use the stupid, pure way to categorize things, then okay.
Let's be accurate, at least.
Right. Then let's just say it. Everybody was basically soup except for the Eldar player. No, because Jack was, right? Because didn't Jack have... Did Jack Harpster, was he pure Eldar? I don't remember.
No.
But, like, you know, it is what it is. I can't
hear over Danny's going through his bits bin.
Sorry. Trying to get the stupid night together.
What else was there? There was, there was... Junior's Knights Imperium list.
Yeah.
Obviously Jim's Chaos and John Lennon's GSC. So
I think there are 3 Imperial players. And that was the most. You know, like, so it wasn't like previous years where it would be. It wasn't like a certain tournament where it was like 6 Eldar players in the top 8.
I mean, the LVO, the first LVO of 8th edition.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember now.
Name and shame. Don't be a coward.
That was what, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, that was.
Seems like forever.
Time flies.
A lot of years.
Time flies when you're judging.
Huh.
But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at the diverse.
It was good.
Yeah, because Don Houston was there with his chaos.
Yeah, he was the
His
second chaos list.
His wacky chaos list.
Wacky,
Um,
wild and crazy chaos.
well, it is.
Wild and crazy.
I mean, as much as it's essentially a Forge World list.
Hey, you know what? Those are cool models. I'm painting a
Yes.
Leviathan on the stream. So, yeah. Or I should say repainting, because I started it out for that Death Guard army I was going to do, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
But I sold all the models except for one of the Leviathans. And then I'm
Yeah, I'm looking
getting
at the
another
list now.
Leviathan.
So it's 1, 2, 3 Imperial lists, 2 of them being with Custodes.
Mhm.
1 Tau, 1 GSE, 2 Chaos lists, Jim and Don, and then Jack with Alatok, Eldar.
Okay, so he was just Eltok.
Yeah, he had the Seer Council, I guess. Star.
Yeah, no, I know it was a Seer Council star, but I didn't know if he had like a random Blackheart detachment or anything like that.
I guess as close to a star as you're going to get in 8th edition.
Yeah. I mean, that thing is hard to break.
If it has all its buff ups, absolutely.
Yeah. So that is a legit unit and a legit Death Star. I don't like running up against it. I've run up against it a couple times in our local area. It's not
Our local player Jay
fun.
comes to every tournament. He's been playing it for a while. I think he's playing it in our league still.
I guess I shouldn't say it's not that it's
No,
not
he
fun. It's just hard to beat. It's not unfun in the way the Death Stars used to be unfun.
Well, no, because you couldn't interact with
You
them.
couldn't interact with them, right? So this you can at least kill. Like I've stomped one to death before with 2 gallants, and like you can do stuff to it.
Although Jay isn't playing Seer Council, at least I just played him. And
Oh, yeah, you
did
played him
not
last
bring
night, right?
Seer Council.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
played the Wave Serpents, man.
Yeah,
With
which is
Flyer.
a good list. Yeah, with Night Spinners.
RVD, the in regards to the Jinx at LVO, it wasn't cheating.
What jinx?
When they're claiming that Alex told Brandon how Jinx worked was incorrect.
Oh, I don't remember
But
that.
the
at
way
all.
Jinx works, the way Alex had worded it is actually the correct.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I mean, I don't remember that being an
correct
issue
way.
at all.
Everyone thinks it's an issue because it's
Yeah.
Alex, but it wasn't an
Well,
issue.
and also they couldn't hear anything. Like you couldn't hear the actual players talking.
No, and people think he cheated because Brandon thought Brandon thought that Alex read the rule wrong, but when you look at the rules, Alex actually had the right.
Yeah,
rule.
well, and they asked us that question. Danny and I looked it up.
Yeah.
I do remember
And
that
this is
now.
what we're
That was the
talking
thing
about.
that Danny and I looked up. Yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about. Like seriously,
And it didn't even matter.
and it did not even
It was
matter.
actually a moot point because none of the rolls made would have
Would have
mattered.
mattered. They were all either
Ultimately.
way above or well below. It did
Yeah,
not matter.
exactly.
Yeah,
They were all
that's right.
either going to pass or fail either way,
That's right.
regardless.
I remember that now. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Jesus.
Good
So,
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least it's not 7th edition.
No,
No,
but the diversity was cool. I am a little bit happy that Alan, who went 5-1, did not make the top 8 because that meant that we stayed for the round 1 and then we got on the road and I was home by like 6.
Oh, on
Oh, that's
Sunday.
good.
Yeah, that was nice. It was nice to get home to Natalie and the kids. by
I'm
6
sure
o'clock.
she was happy.
Yeah, she was.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
And I believe we had to talk Alan down from like going home on Saturday or Saturday morning.
No, he was joking.
Yeah, sure. Is he though?
Yeah, I think he was.
Please.
See, the sad thing is, though, I couldn't tell.
because he's done it before. Remember when he was 4-1 and why we left?
Yes, I remember that.
Okay, so was he joking? Was he?
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't pretend to understand what goes on in that mind. I already talked to you about the event and the venue, right?
Yeah, how much it sucks.
Yeah, the venue was not cool. The hotel room itself was really nice. It was certainly nicer than staying at those motels by the game castle.
You know, the game castle.
But that said, the remainder of the stuff was not cool. And even like because it was so near San Francisco and the airport, everything was increased in like price. But there was a couple of cool little places near like just up the road, like literally up the main road. There was like a small little like downtownish, old townish type area, and there was a cheap pizza and beer place, and there was a cheap like breakfast cafe place. So we ate there a couple times.
Yeah. RVD said he talked to Harrison, and he admitted that we ruled it wrong. But what's funny though is he probably doesn't know the rule himself. So
whatever. I'm not worried about it. It literally had no effect on the game, so who the hell cares?
I know. It's fine. Someone else is asking about going through the show notes real quick. So that was BAO, basically in a nutshell.
I didn't go undefeated this year, so there's not a lot to talk about.
any highlights from your games?
You know what? I really enjoyed playing Orcs because there's no Orc players near us. Like, there's not anybody who plays Orcs reliably in our area. And so I really had no...
You know what they do?
I mean, I do know what they do because I've read and watched battle reports or whatever, but you don't really know till you've played it. And each of those games I was in till, again, turn 5. Turn 5, the turn goes over to 5, and I usually... The list I was running had petered out, and so turns 5 and 6 were all theirs. But like I was holding my own against both those Orc lists, and it was down to the wire both times. So, but it is cool to see all the different things that they can do: mech guns, shock attack guns, big giant boys mobs being recycled, stuff like that.
So, I know you're playing in the league.
Mm-hmm.
What are you playing in the league?
Imperium.
But you're doing the mix.
I declared Imperium so I can play whatever I want.
Okay.
Like, seriously,
it does give you quite the options.
Yeah, like if I say I'm going to play Knights, then I've got to play all Knights. If I say I'm going to play Space Marines, which is stupid because Space Marines suck, I had to play all Space. Like, I say Imperium so I can play whatever I want. I think the first list I'm going to run is going to be my amended Barry open list, where I take out one Castellan, put in a Valiant, and then fill out the guard. And also take a Pokeball Assassin, assuming my Assassin comes in the mail.
Okay.
Well, I've got 3 you can borrow.
Oh, cool. Okay. I think I'd probably go Vindicare or Calexis, depending on matchup.
Well, if it's a heavy character armor, you go Vindicare.
Yeah, like Vindicare is great against Chaos, just because they rely on sorcerers and Ahriman and infantry characters that the Vindicare is quite happy to see.
I could have really used a Vindicare in my game against Sean and my game against the Orc players because I sniped with the missiles but didn't do enough, and the Vindicare could have just finished them off.
Right, and then gets to double tap.
Into another character. So that would have been cool to be able to do that, but that didn't happen.
That's the advantage of taking the Rusty 17. If you can put on the sniper rifles on the unit captains or whatever, whoever can take
Robinson did.
Yeah, because it just gives you between the Oathbreaker missile and if you use the stratagem, and the Vindicare, and then those little snipers, like you can really just consistently, at least for 2 turns, pop 2 characters.
You can whittle away at them.
Yeah. Danny, what are you taking for the league? Since we're moving on to the new league that just started up.
I decided to, just because my back can't take all of my NID lists that involve like 180 models. So,
seriously.
Playing just Chaos and mostly goofing around with Renegade Knights before the Codex and, my Bloodthirsters and the models I like playing. So, I don't expect to do very well, but that's fine. I'm just want to play armies where I don't need to spend an inordinate amount of time moving things, even with movement trays, which again, Hammerhead Games makes great movement trays that really, really do save your life if you want to run a horde. But
they do. I saw a lot of movement trays at Barry Open. They're just a smart way to run things.
Yeah, no, they're great. But so yeah, probably mostly Chaos Knights, and then Bloodthirsters and character spam. I have fallen in love with the Chain Lord.
Right.
Just because Adam saw this,
he's pretty great.
I charged a Chain Lord into a Crimson Hunter and killed it in one volley, And
they're doing 8 mortal wounds.
yeah,
That's amazing.
and the thing is just so. I mean, it's swingy, but for 93 points, it's such a great missile.
Yeah.
You know, it's just because that's the thing. It's 90. I mean, it eats up your, which kind of sucks, but you know, it's 93 points for a model that can just legitimately spike and suddenly do 8-10 mortal wounds plus its attacks, right? Like, so it's baller. I mean, I know it's bad, but I really want to run Abaddon not with cultist spam, but just as kind of a beat stick character who walks behind the knights and just pops out and does a shit ton of damage on his own.
Nice. I mean, that'd be fun. Why not?
Yeah, and you know, so the problem with like knights and bloodthirsters, who I love, is that they can't go into fucking buildings. So
Yeah.
Chain Lord Abbey kind of helps that out.
Yep. Abaddon can still go into. He's still infantry.
Yep. Still walk his happy ass into a magic box and kill people who are in there.
I didn't give him the Gilliman monster treatment, huh?
No, he's still infantry.
Because he's a punk ass bitch.
Sure.
He's not a Primarch.
Hey, I thought Chaos can do anything. I thought he was supposed to be swollen with the powers of Chaos.
Sure,
He is, but
I thought he was supposed to be a clone of Horus.
no, they got rid of that in one of the short stories. They talk about him killing his own dad.
Nice.
or it could just be who he thought was his dad.
That's, pretty morbid. Fratricide. No. Fratricide is killing your brother. What's killing your father? Patricide?
Patricide.
Patricide.
Or regicide if it was the king. Or both. Why not both?
Sure, we can just check off all the above.
All the sides.
All the sides.
Make sure we get all the sides of that.
All the murders.
So another question is, aside from going off of what you own, how do you come up with a list for the vast selection available to Imperium, Chaos, Eldar, basically?
Yeah, that's
Sounds
definitely
like a
not a
Tom
question.
question.
That's not a question for me. I only build lists with either what I own or what I am intending to buy.
So you go off, like I go off of potential lists or a list I want to build.
Well, I mean, I guess sometimes I'll buy according to a list that I've built, but that's pretty rare.
Yeah, I mean, I have, with my collections, I kind of, at this point, just focus on what I got, which is everything.
So that's very limited.
Yeah, although I don't, like I said, I don't really have a functioning Imperium army besides knights and like half-built sisters, so, you know, it's a little different. But I think when you're building a list and like you're deciding on like, do I want to play Imperium? Do I want to play Chaos? Do I want to play Eldari? You really just, I don't know. I always think in, I don't know how you would put it, archetypes of list, right? Like, do I want an assault list? Do I want a shooty list? Do I want a board control list? And then from there, start narrowing it down into the flavors of those archetypes, right? Like, do I want a character heavy assault list? Do I want a horde assault list? Do I want just, you know, a charge out of reserve or, you know, kind of weird angle assault list? Do I want a static shooting list? Do I want a jumpy shooting list? Right. And then start thinking about how to build it from there and looking for units that complement that or shore up the weaknesses of that play style.
Yeah, usually it's like with the different, like I could build just about any of the Vigilus detachments if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like what I feel like at this point, what I feel like playing. Like I tried out.
I mean, there's more than just the Emperor's Wrath artillery battalion.
Well, that's for Imperials. I'm talking about Chaos. Actually, is Brandon Grant uses all three of those Vigilus detachments in his Imperial Guard army.
Yeah. Yeah, he has them all in his back pocket.
Yeah. So like I tried the Devastation Battery one. I tried the Raptorial Host
right
one with the Chain Lord.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to keep them all in my back pocket. I would have to go. I'd have to go into my tournament with the plan that I'm going to take the same one every time.
Oh right. No, he takes all three.
Oh, he doesn't change it up. You mean?
No, all three are in his army.
Nice.
He has three detachments.
That's
and
nice.
one is each.
Oh, that's right. He was running his new non-Castellan
that's
three
his
guard.
That's his latest list without the Castellan.
Yeah.
And with guard, you can do that. With chaos, you can't really do that.
No, yeah.
I guess you could, but three sucky detachments.
Yeah, RVD, you're right. Guard is really good. They have a lot of useful builds. I think Guard is easily the best mono codex, like without question, especially with Vigilus.
Yeah, so I know for myself, it more or less comes down to what I want to try. Like I wanted to try the Raptorial Host. I wanted to try the Devastation Battery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for our league, I'm actually trying to go for low hanging fruit in terms of ITC and play a pure faction. And I've chosen Renegade and Heretics in anticipation of a codex. I'm banking on a codex or
we've actually heard of the next codex. We've actually heard of Chaos Knights, and you went with I'm going to do Renegades and Heretics.
Yes, because I want to be hipster.
I feel like that's very well thought.
Always.
Oh, yeah, Axis, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You do have to put them on your tournament roster. I'm wrong.
Yes, and Brandon writes all three.
All three, yes.
He takes all three.
Writes all three, yes. Yeah, I was misunderstanding.
But so I'm gonna run a Renegade and Heretics, and I'm actually putting together those Trader Guardsmen from Black Fortress.
Oh, nice!
And they look really good. They go together really easy.
Yeah, they're really cool looking. I wish they would put them out in an actual box.
Yeah,
sort of like the Shadow Spear box. It would be nice if you could buy just the Infiltrators or just the Eliminators.
Who knows? You may see that someday. They'll do it as soon as I finish this army, probably.
Yeah.
As soon as I have all the Renegade.
This is why you got to be smart and do the army that coming next. Like I'm super excited about Chaos Knights.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's given.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that did come up, and I really wanted to talk about really quick, to go away from with the shitty army that I'm going to play. Smoke and mirrors. At BAO and at another tournament that was that same weekend, there happened to be two draws in the last round.
Mm-hmm.
A draw at each one.
Yeah.
And both of them involved players that were on the same part of the same club.
Yeah.
Now, when that happened, there were a few people that were wondering if it was collusion. I'm not saying it is collusion because I don't believe either one was. From what I understand from talking to...
Did anybody call Robert Mueller because he's now unemployed?
Because he's available now?
He's available now.
I'm sure he's cheap to hire.
Oh, yeah. Former director of the FBI. I'm sure he's very cheap to hire. No, was he FBI? Yeah, he was the FBI, right?
I'm sure he does pro bono work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But as a judge or as a TO, sometimes it does happen, and as we saw at LVO on the Age of Sigmar side, it is done in a maybe not malicious intent, but in a not above board intent, and sometimes it's hard to figure that out, especially if you're not watching. With what happened at LVO,
that one was a 30-point draw for each of them.
Yeah,
that's just nuts.
Yeah, well, plus I think the TO more or less saw them do it. I think
the TO, Reese and Frankie didn't seem to, but they talked to him about it. And
no. Well, when I talk about the TO, I mean the guy running it, the judge saw, kind of either saw or knew about it right away because they put in their scores.
In LVO they did it in 5 minutes. Right,
Yeah.
Like they literally submitted their scores 5 minutes after the round started and went to get drinks and didn't actually come back to fake play their game only until their teammates were texting them the hell are you doing? Get back here and play your damn game.
Right.
Right, and even though they quote unquote play their game, they still got to draw somehow, supposedly. Maybe.
Sure. What did we say? They wanted Barry Open, Nick Hayden, Tasty Taste.
He was there.
Saw a lot of that game, and so for a fact that if it was fishy, it'd have been all over his blog and his Facebook.
Yeah,
that dude does not pull punches when it comes to like shady stuff and gossip and whatever. Like he's the TMZ of 40K, and he'd have been all over that. So the fact that he was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's fine," made me immediately go like, "Yeah, it was probably fine."
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. At top tables, it's usually hard to hide, unless the TO is watching you do it, like what happened at OVO. But
Right.
I mean, if you're at an RTT and you notice there's a draw with, I mean, and it's two teammates,
Yeah, what do you
and
do?
the draw, because the draw more or less, especially at an RTT, will keep the standings where they are usually.
Yes.
Especially if there's no other undefeateds.
Yeah. Well, that draw was also not the last round for the day, so like they both had to play one more game. So it wasn't like that draw made sure that both of them got into the top 8 the next day.
Right, but at the other event, it was the last game.
Oh, you're talking about the other event. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Well, no, that's what I mean. There are two draws in near the top tables at two
Those
different events.
weekends.
One was BAO, the other one was I forget the name right now. But I talked to the TO at the other one, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I watched the whole thing. It was fine."
Yeah. I mean, it's just super suspicious when all you can see is the numbers on.
When all you see are the
Best
numbers and you know the team, their teammates, and
Yes.
it just raises an eyebrow at the very least.
Although I did bring up the point that, like, okay, I'm not saying either of these groups of people did this, but at some point you're playing your friend and you look over there and you realize, okay, well, we could both just get a draw if, like, we each get this many number of points, or like it's in between a lunch, you could talk it out, or you could text, or there's stuff that like it's possible,
Right.
you know.
I mean, the problem, of course, is always, you know, to really come down on people, you have to have some kind of hard evidence, and
Right.
Oh yeah,
a draw and they're on the same team is not enough. Right. I know that looks
not
bad,
at all.
and it's really easy when you're kind of not there,
keyboard
and really when you're
warrioring it?
not. Yeah, when you're
you're a
not
big
the one
bad
who
keyboard
bears the
warrior.
responsibility. Right. Like when you're the TO or the judge who bears the burden of having to go up to people and be like, "I think you cheated. I'm going to zero your scores out." Right. Like it's real hard to make that decision just based on like, well, I think this kind of looks weird, so fuck you guys.
Yeah, right.
I mean, when I had to do it, it was easy because the guys had walked away from their table after like 10 minutes
yes,
at the Sunday RTT.
that's
like 2 or 3 years ago.
super easy. You
You
guys
know, when
clearly just did not play your game. So
Well, and the what didn't help the case was, I think I mentioned this story before, was when one of the players that thought he had won the tournament, because this was the year before we did single elimination, and this is why we do single elimination now.
It's a lot easier for that, yeah.
So what ended up happening was he came to and asked about it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I zeroed you guys out because you guys colluded." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you guys didn't play your game. You guys didn't even." And so I asked him, "Did you guys play your game?" And he was like, "No, we just put in a time and walked away." And I'm like, "Okay, let me ask you again. Did you guys play your game?" Because I technically did not see them. So I found out about it, 5 minutes later, because the round had just started. So I asked him in that tone, kind of like, "Hey, now did you play the game?" And he looked at me dead in the eye. He said, "No, we did not. We just walked away."
Cool story,
I'm like,
bro.
I can't help
And
it.
your internal dialogue is just, "You stupid mother."
Cool.
Yeah, I get called that name instead.
Story.
So I had to tell them, and then they took it to Reese, and Reese is very for those that don't know, Reese is very no
BS.
no BS in regards to collusion, especially because of just the integrity of the game and just the integrity of the event.
Integrity of everything. The players, the event, the game itself.
So
like there's a lot.
So in that matter, it was easy to tell them that I had to zero you guys out. You guys didn't even play the game.
Right.
So it's just something to keep an eye
like
on.
The judge has to respect, for the most part, decisions of the players.
Right.
Unless that decision is we're not going to play our game and just call it what we want.
Right.
That is not a decision amongst the players that a judge would have to allow. or respect or whatever you want to call it. You know,
but it also brings up a somewhat gray area in this regard when people talk out the rest of the game.
You know, you're not supposed to do that, but it happens. But there's not a whole lot you can do to police it. It even happened like with me at the Barrier Open. So he was like, well, I think this will happen. And I think this will happen. I'm like, yeah, I mean, really all I'm going to do is run my knight over here. And if I get enough movement, then I'm going to draw. So why don't we just roll my movement? So we rolled how much my advance would be. And sure enough, I did not advance far enough, and I would not get over there because he had hidden all of his units in a building. So it's like, okay, I'm either going to be able to advance far enough with these 2 rolls, and you're not going to come out and shoot me. So that is basically the game. So it's not, I mean, that's kind of talking it out. Like, did we actually legitimately, like, pass the clock and all those things? No.
I think there is a difference between, you know, something like that where you are more or less, you're in the, you know, you've actually made a legitimate effort to play your game to the best of your abilities, and you are simply, you know,
That's
going
true.
through the logical progression of the game with the game as it is now.
Right.
And then, rolling for anything that actually needs to be rolled for. I think that's something quite different than just, 10 minutes in being like, I don't want to play. Let's just split,
I mean, I walked up to a table at the Barrier Open one year, and the guy was like, this is my 3rd game playing Grey Knights in a row. This is 5th. And he's like, I don't want to do this because I get blown off the table every time because he's playing Dark Eldar. He's like, so you win, and let's go have a beer and watch a Goat Boys game. And I was like, okay, no problem. 10 a.m.? Sure, no problem. I'll have a beer with you and watch Goat Boys game.
Again, even that is, well, code of conduct didn't exist yet.
Well, that is a concession, which is allowed. You're allowed to concede.
Yeah. You're allowed to concede at any point, really.
Yeah.
But I think talking it out is like Danny said, more of a fine line, because a lot of players, as the more you play, the more you develop the skill of being able to see where the game is going.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Especially as you get towards the end, like turn 4 or 5.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
At that point, you can kind of see what's remaining and what moves are available to you and what moves are available to your opponent.
Yeah, that's true.
And to me, that's more just fast forwarding the game as opposed to just straight out collusion, as a saying, let's just do this and call it a day. But yes, that does bring the danger of almost bullying a result as opposed to an actual result.
Don't be a
no, that's true.
And I think
that's kind of the correct answer there.
What was that?
I think that's kind of the correct answer there.
I said, well, don't be a wuss.
Oh.
Sorry, was that too bellicose?
I don't know. I didn't hear you. See, I mean,
yeah. I mean, don't let yourself get bullied. What are you gonna do? Like,
well, I mean,
if you think you have a legitimate chance of winning a game, you don't allow your opponent to be like, let's talk this out. I swear to God, Cat. I swear to God, Cat.
Don't let that cat bully you, John.
I'm not. I got it out of the way.
But I think in that regard, sometimes players are intimidated by a personality, a named personality.
Well, in that case, the named personality is cheating. Look, we're aware. We know exactly who you're talking about. Well, at least you, Danny, and I know who you're talking about. And that person is a known cheater. So, who does not any longer play at OVO?
But because I remember one Bay Area Open, I think it was the first one, 2016, where it was one of our guys.
First one you went to.
The first one I went to, yes. The one at the on top of the parking.
Yeah, on top of the parking structure.
Where we had to go up 7 flights of stairs because we didn't know where the front door was.
Yeah.
And
all you old men were winded.
Yeah.
And I made the Ghostbusters joke.
Yes. So they were playing a player who I don't even know if he plays anymore, but at the time he was well known for slow play and an unusual interpretation of the rules, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was bullied, but I think he just went with what whatever he said was the points for the mission.
Yeah.
And when we actually did the math correctly, he actually won the game instead of losing the game.
Right.
But we didn't figure out till like the next round.
Nice.
So
good times.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Don't let yourself get bullied, kids.
Seriously. And don't bully yourself. That's weird.
Yeah.
Don't bully yourself out of the game.
Don't bully yourself. Another Patreon member wants to talk about sportsmanship, especially in respects to making your opponent's game experience better, even when they're losing. I guess more importantly, it's more, he put it more, improving salty situations.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't understand salty situations of like your own making, or what? Why? What?
No, like if you're winning you're winning so handedly.
Mm-hmm.
I know you wouldn't know what this is like, John, right now because of your recent experience.
Mm-hmm.
But let's flip the table. Let's say you were actually winning a game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was so bad for your opponent that you could tell they're just not having fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at that point, you kind of, I think the best thing to do is don't joke. don't try to be cute. Like, because at that point, if you know that the other person is not taking it well, that is not the time for you to be like, let's joke around about your bad dice.
Right.
Let's joke around about my great dice. Let's I even think at that point, like, you even like temper your desire to root for them, you know, in certain cases. Like, you'd be like, oh man, I hope you should totally go for that, that'd be great. Like, at that point, like, I think being quieter than usual is best. Whereas I think a lot of players' instinct is to go over the top, super nice, jovial into everything, and I don't know if necessarily that's the right
Don't try to make them laugh.
Yeah.
Don't try
to make it better when you're the person causing their like depression.
Their misery.
Yeah.
I think that is a valid point.
What always gets me personally is when people apologize.
Yeah, don't ever apologize because you're winning. It just makes it even worse. Of like, oh, now he's pitying me. Awesome.
I think it's okay to like commiserate over like terrible die rolls or something like that, or like a failed 3-inch charge. Like, it's okay to commiserate over that kind of stuff or be empathetic towards it. But like being like, oh man, I'm so sorry that I just rolled 6 6s on the one time that you actually wounded my knight. Like, that's not, and obviously you wouldn't frame it that way. It's like, oh, you roll 6 6s and be like, oh man, I'm sorry. Like, don't do that. Just be like, if you have to comment on it because you just rolled Yahtzee, then do something like, oh man, that's crazy, I should be playing Yahtzee. Right. Like, don't make a comment of like, I'm sorry that you're getting destroyed. I'm sorry that my dice just screwed you. Like, whatever. Like, don't do stuff like that. I mean, silence is golden sometimes.
If you're really sorry, you wouldn't have picked that army to begin with.
It's true. If your army is curb stomping your buddy because it is the flavor of the month, great, amazing army, don't go apologizing for it.
Yeah, because you know what? You're really not sorry.
Yeah. You're actually overjoyed. No, I mean, I think for me, yeah, silence is usually golden. Where it's just like, let's just get the game done. Like, let's be cordial, be professional, but don't sit there and try and sell them some belief and like, it's all okay. But, and for me, what usually helps when I'm having just a chippy game, right? Like one way or the other, for whatever reason, is I try to find, I just ask leading questions to try and find something that they enjoy, that I am knowledgeable of, that we can talk about instead of how badly they're getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I'll make a football joke. I'll make an Archer joke. I'll make a Star Wars joke. I'll make
something that's not related to the game. Yeah.
Exactly. Just to test and see. And if they don't respond at all, and it just seems like I'm making it worse, then shut the fuck up. Right. And just let that game just mark it down to you're not making a friend there. But most of the time you can, we all like kind of the same stuff because clearly we're drawn to 40K, which means we have certain tastes in common.
That's racist.
So, yeah, well, okay, John. So
I'm just saying.
I find
feel
that
personally
helps.
attacked.
Well, that's
You
just because
feel
you're miserable to play against.
Wow.
I'm not miserable to play against at all. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think my favorite one is don't spread that rumor. We can talk about me being salty all we want, but let's not spread the rumor that I'm actually a bad opponent to play against, because I will play some of these people sometimes. That was my round 3 opponent on the Barry Open. Actually, he didn't realize who I was till the end, because I don't walk up to a table and be like, "Hi, I'm Salty John from TFG Radio, head judge for the LVO." Like, why would you do that?
Narrator, he absolutely does this.
I did not do that. I did not do that.
You forgot most well-known 40K judge.
Most well-known 40K judge in the world. Yeah, thanks, Pablo. I'm never gonna live that down.
Nope.
That's gonna be on your tombstone. What are you talking about?
Jesus, I'm not.
I will chisel it on.
Adam, if I'm still friends with you when I'm dead and you're still alive, then we have worse problems.
That's gonna be on my will if I go before you. Definitely.
Anyways, so the guy realized round 3, or at the very end of the game, he invited me back for a drink.
Back to his place?
No, to the bar. He was like, "Hey, let me buy you a drink." Because it was like a 1-point win, and he won it by hiding in a building. And he was like, "This is gonna be super cheesy, but I definitely want the win." Because we both basically had no wins at that point, right? And I was like, "That's cool, dude. It's fine. If I can make it over here." This is the one where we talked it out basically, and I rolled the 2 rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna roll my 2 rolls, and it's not a big deal. Don't feel bad about hiding in the building." And so then over the course of like us being at the bar for a while, he realized, "Oh yeah, you're from TFG Radio, and that's where I know you from. I know you from the LVO." And he's like, "You're not salty during your games at all." And I was like, "No, I'm not.
So good.
I'm not actually salty during my games at all." My favorite salty game ever was it was actually, we were just like playing a fun game on a Tuesday night, and I go, at one point I go, "Okay," to the person saying, and he stopped and he's like, "Look, okay, I understand that this is like a fun game or whatever, but like you're acting like it's like a tournament game." And every time I see him, he's just like, "Okay," and that's getting on my nerves. And I was like, and I want to be like, "Okay," to him saying that, and I was like, "Sure, no problem. I'll keep aware of that." And he was like, I mean, this is something I've talked about with other people too. Like other people do this also. This is just a relaxing game, and like I'm over here losing, and you're just like, every time I say this, I'm like, okay. Like, seriously, this is just for fun. And I ended up losing that game by 15 points.
Oh, so he Star Action bitched you.
Yeah. And I was just like, whatever. And somebody else was watching the game, and the guy wandered off, and they're like, "Wow, like, what's that all about?" And I was like, "It doesn't matter, dude." Like, seriously, it doesn't matter. If somebody's going to be like that, you just got to let them be like that.
Right.
Like, that's just the way it is. Like,
yeah,
they're going to get on your case because you said okay as a response a bunch of times, and they feel like now you're taking it very competitively all of a sudden. It's like, okay, well, I'm just saying okay. You said you're going to do something, and I'm acknowledging that I heard it. You just have to let them be. Like, that's if they are actively telling you the thing they don't like, then actively don't do that thing, whether you agree with it or not, and just move on. Like, that's all you can do.
Yeah, I usually say sure. I say sure a lot. Yeah. Instead of okay. Right. It's like the same. Okay, yeah. You say okay, but I say sure.
Xtab, hiding in the building wasn't cheesy. It was just like
the smart play.
It's the smart play, but it's also like not interactive. Like,
that's why it feels bad sometimes.
Right. It's like it gives like it feels bad because basically like you hide your units in the building, and I can't do anything to them, and you can't do anything to me, and so that's the way. And he's gonna score 1 point or whatever because he's within a certain number of inches of an objective, and he's obsec and I'm not. Like whatever. Like there was no way for me to interact with that, so it's not like I don't know if it's cheesy, but it's definitely like non-interactive. It's like, okay, well, I'm ending the game basically. Haha, Sad Clown says sure sounds salty as fuck. Haha, you're the salty one now. Salty Adam. We're gonna give you the salt crown.
I guess it's the inflection, maybe.
You get the name now. Salty Adam.
No, I don't. I don't. That's the best part. I don't.
God, I hate you so much.
Well, see, Adam doesn't really play anymore, so no one really seeing games or not.
Damn.
True, and I really don't care.
That's true. You don't really care, which is the worst part.
Not caring helps a lot, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but you know what might be helpful too sometimes is when you're with your teammates and learning to read the room. And what I mean by that is learning when you walk up to a table is catching the vibe of the table.
I mean, also just look at your record and look at their record. If you've both lost like 3 games, you're walking up to a table where the other guys lost 3 games, and if they're not necessarily going to be taking it like you're taking it,
right?
You might be taking it terribly, and if you're aware of that, awesome, good for you to be self-aware. But if you're taking it well, like I walked up to my 3rd game at Bay Area Open 0-2, and I was like, okay, like whatever, it's fine. I'm playing Dark Elder, okay. Like, I was fine, but you may be walking up to a table with another guy who's 0-2 and super cranky about it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I was talking about if you're just a spectator.
Oh, okay. A spectator.
But I mean that's good too. But because sometimes when you're, let's say like you, John, you said you're finished with your games earlier, or whatever, and you see how your roommates or your friends, or just see how some
I in general do not talk to people in games, even if they are my roommates or my friends.
Well, what a lot of people do is ask, "Hey, how's it going?"
I'll ask that only if they're at a lull in the game, and I've read the table well, and I think that's your point you're making, right? Like to read the situation.
Yeah, to read the table, read the situation, because a lot of times, especially like what the Patreon member asked in regards to improving a salty situation, because if you're literally tabling somebody and they ask you, "Hey, how's it going?" and you can't just say, "Oh, I'm killing this guy."
Right. Yeah. And then at that point, like the nice thing to do is be like, oh, it's pretty back and forth. And usually, but then your opponent might be like, no, it's fucking not.
I know, right? Again, I don't think you should ever try to lie for someone's benefit like that, because most likely than not, they're just going to see it as patronizing.
Yeah.
So you just say something like, it's going, right? Like just something non-committal.
I mean, in that case, I'll even say, like, even if I'm winning and I know I'm winning, I might say something like, it's going good. But like in a very like even mannered way, not like, oh man, great.
Matter of fact.
It's awesome. She's like,
you're like,
it's a good game. Like
you're not like pushing this guy's shit.
Right. Yeah. Seriously, like, oh yeah, I'm totally rickrolling him right now. Like, you're not gonna say something like that, but like also you don't want to be like you were saying, Danny, you don't want to be patronizing.
No.
Yeah, there was a game I was playing. It was I think it was either the league champs or the league like semifinals. And I was playing against Tom.
Mr. I don't care about winning games, winning all the leagues.
Yeah. Well, that was back when I was winning all the leagues. I don't care when I don't have a chance to win.
Sure. Keep going.
And it was I think I was playing Knights, and it was against Tom's Tau. And
so you were losing.
No, I never lost to Tom's Tau with my Knights.
Oof.
I haven't. It's a fact.
Tom, what the hell, man? No.
This was before, I guess they unlocked what to do with Tau.
Oh, okay. This is still in.
This is pre Jeff taking Tom under his wing.
Well, that was also like pre a lot of Tau players figuring out Tau too.
Yes,
that was also pre.
It took a lot longer
being playable.
Yeah.
Yes,
it took a lot longer than usual with that codex for the players to crack the code.
Well, we can already see that with Necron. Same thing.
Yes.
And how long has the codex been out? Almost a year.
But they haven't cracked that code because
they're starting to. You're starting to see Necrons creep up more in the standings.
I think that's because they have things that you don't build for, and as soon as look, Necrons are not a good army.
I'm thinking
it's not like Tau where like you're gonna find some magical build. You're just not.
Okay.
I mean, let the hate roll in, whatever.
What I'm saying is that it's placed in a lot better than previous.
Sure, placing better is not going to be the same as like having really good winning records. Like Tau have got some really good winning records. I'm actually surprised Tau hasn't won one just by good matchups at this point, because at some point a Tau player is going to have to like get the luck of the draw and not get their worst matchup. Like that's what I did to Barry Open when I went 6-0. I managed to dodge Dark Eldar the entire time.
Right. And
at Hammer of Wrath, I did not dodge Dark Eldar. I played him twice.
Sad Clown says it's hard to crack the code when people are swimming through oceans of tears.
It's true. I like that analogy, Sad Clown, and I'm going to steal it. I will be using that in the future.
And with Tao, all the stupid waifu fan art.
Don't you know what? We're not going. No, we're not going to go on this tangent. I do not acknowledge the existence of this.
Oh, the Weebos.
The Weebos.
That's why the Tao pages are the best, right?
No, it's almost as bad.
It's all family safe.
You know what? There are no Space Wolf furries, and I'm proud of that.
I'm sure that's not true, John.
You know what? There are no Space Wolf furries that I am aware of.
There we go.
And I'm proud of that because everybody's aware of the weird Tao anime fetish culture.
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is indeed bliss, particularly in this case.
But anyway, so I'm playing
How did we get on this topic?
Because
you played Tom.
I played Tom, and what ended up happening was it was one of those things where he tries to kill my castle and he doesn't kill it. And the list I used to run had the 2 gallons.
I'm gonna kill your castle, and you failed. Cool handshake.
Yeah, basically. So I was able to get in line, and the gallons are basically ripping through his lines, and Tom, you know how Tom gets that serious look where he puts his hand on his chin and his head down. He's really hard concentrating.
And then he starts to punch tables.
That's only in regard to hangers.
Sorry, was that bellicose?
Wait, did he do that then too? I've seen him punch the tables like 3 times.
He stopped after we pointed it out to him twice.
Yeah, well, the last time was at SoCal Open.
That was definitely an acceptable time to do that though, because he had to use a hanger.
True.
I'm not even going to say that he was not well within his rights to do that with that stupid
justified. Rule. But Chad came up to the table, and I forget what he asked Tom, but he said it in a joking way, trying to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom was just like, I almost shot him daggers. And I'm just like, dude, you got to learn to read the room.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a general life skill, but yes.
That's true. It is a general life skill.
Tom wasn't super intentional, but it sometimes helps to maybe not ask at a critical moment when or at least learn to tell by body language anyway.
Yeah,
what's
don't
going on.
Immediately walk up to some table and start talking and doing just walk up, observe it, see what's going on, figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And again, don't apologize. Don't, even if it's well-meaning, don't patronize. Right. And so the easiest way to get most people unsalty is just be like, hey, you want to go get a drink? You want to, etc. after this.
Mm-hmm.
And just extend that social. And, there's just some people you're not going to vibe with. There's some people that are just miserable human beings, and you accept that and move on. Yeah. Right. But
right.
We accept that about Tom and Alan. It's fine.
Yeah. And a few others, just don't have dinner with them when they drink too much. That'll be fine.
Dude. Yes. Yes.
Totally fine. Drink responsibly, everybody.
Yes. Know when to stop. Please.
Can't stop. Won't stop.
Can't stop. Won't stop. Please know when to stop.
Save your liver. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it for
onwards and upwards.
Listener questions.
I mean, how many Patreons do we actually have?
I don't know.
Like 2, 3,
5.
How are we getting all these questions?
It's a lot of questions. People want to know. People want to know things.
All right. Well, if you want your question read, apparently we have a Patreon. You can join it. I'm assuming it just goes to Adam.
The questions? Yes.
No, the Patreon money.
That too.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So if you want to support Adam going to tournaments, but not
if you want to support my hooker and blow addiction, TFG Radio. Look up TFG Radio on Patreon.
Could be worse. You could be spending out alcohol and getting destroyed at tournaments and ruining people's nights.
Some people do that for free.
Some people do it for free. It's not free though. You got to buy the alcohol to do it.
$5 a month is all we ask. Speaking of which, I guess we're gonna announce our contest. Unfortunately, Tom's not
We're doing
here.
another contest. This is another haikus thing. God damn it!
This
If you
is-
have people
this-
write poems again, I swear to God.
I think that's gonna be an annual thing.
Well, then
That's at
there's
the end
going to
of the
be
year.
an annual time where I disappear.
You don't have to be there. We can just talk about you without you being there. But I don't know where this idea came from, to be honest. 'Cause, I think maybe it was Tom. But we're gonna do what we're calling a night challenge.
Oh,
Is that what we're calling it? Yeah, the
Yes.
night challenge.
This is not open to the plebs. This is us.
This is this is us only. And it's
Don't
gonna
write me
be
haikus. Hate mail is appreciated. Haiku is not.
oh, hate haikus. That's what we'll do for the next contest. Yes. Oh, yes.
Damn it.
End of the year contest. Hate haikus.
Oh, God. I'm
Directed
just
at
gonna stop
anybody on the
talking.
show.
Nice.
Alliteration is
John.
real.
We could call it the hate coup contest.
Yep. See, there you go.
I really should stop talking.
It gets better and
I said
better.
I should. I don't know why I keep doing it. What's wrong with me?
Also, you see, you always meet your fate on the take to avoid it.
Oh my God, I hate everything right now.
So basically what it is, and we'll post this in the Patreon group. Do you want to make it Patreon only, or I don't know?
Well, the updates and stuff we will. We'll do. I mean, like with the updates of the painting. We'll explain what it is first, and we'll explain what we're going to.
We'll explain what it is. So what it is we're going to come up with a core army list that would involve knights.
Yeah. Well, this all came out of the fact that we're doing like a TFG Radio army.
Knight army, yes.
And we're doing knights because we realized we have a bunch of knights
We do.
between all of us, and we realized we all like knights, and
what's not to like.
we also realized that we could do a TFG Radio army of knights and like paint them all the same colors and like have this big batch of knights we could all build lists out of. And then I think it was Tom.
I think Tom.
Yeah, Tom was like,
spearheaded.
let's do a challenge where we all take a night list using our TFG Radio knights, which are going to have these TFG Radio decals, assuming that when they get here, they don't suck. I'm hoping they don't. And they're going to have these decals on it. And we'll each take it to a tournament and see who does the best with it.
RTT,
An RTT, right? Not a GT or a
not
major.
GT.
I mean, if I have the time to take it to one, I will. But
Okay.
I'm not going to have time to do that until September at the best. And what we're also doing is not a Chaos night list. We came up with an Imperial night list because the Chaos book's not out, and we're not playtesters, so we don't have access to insider information to then scoop things on and then have great lists before things ever come out.
Because playtesters don't do that.
Allegedly.
Again, this is
Allegedly.
where I'm wearing the tinfoil hat, and it's sarcasm, so you guys should not take it seriously.
We did have this. We did talk about this subject.
He's totally serious, by the way.
I'm not. God damn it.
Narrator, but he was.
Yeah, I should just have Danny follow me around and narrate my inner thoughts. And we did settle on a list, right?
We did.
We're
You
close to
built it.
90%, but we're more or less have a list. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a core X amount of points, and then we can flavor it however.
And
that
there's not much room for flavor. I think there's like room for
Oh, there's always room for Flavor Town.
there's like room for a Pokeball assassin.
Maybe. Actually, no. On the list you built, there's like 20 extra points.
Oh, that's right. I did build one finally where it was like 20 extra points, so we don't have that problem of like we're gonna flavor it. So yeah, you have to take the pure night list. It's Castellan, Valiant, Gallant with Ironstorm Missile Pod, and then as many Warglaives as fit.
Which is 2.
Was it 2 or was it 3?
2.
I could have sworn it was 3, Danny.
Pretty sure it's 2.
Okay. Either way, it's however many Warglaives fit in after that. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a fun list to play.
So it really is pure knights.
Yes.
Because I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, and we're gonna see who we're all gonna take it to an RTT, and we'll see who gets the best finish with it. Now, obviously, it's gonna be matchup dependent, all this other nonsense that somebody else commented about, but like, it's gonna be fun. It'll be cool, and we'll all take pictures and stuff and post us all up with our army that's all ours. And like, I already painted. If you saw pictures from the Barry Open, my Red Castellan is the scheme. So it's mostly red with like grayish trim. And
Yeah,
obviously each of us is
team
going to paint
colors.
things slightly different. Like Tom's is going to have more white and checker pattern because he already had that. But like the core of the army is going to be the core colors of the TFG Radio logo.
Yeah.
Red, white, and black.
I'm working on my gallant / magnetized.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
that's right.
did.
Yeah, and I have a knight I need to magnetize, so it can be. I'm gonna magnetize this so it can be Gallant, Warden, Crusader, because there's a 3 Warden list I actually really want to play.
Ooh,
It's
that's interesting.
3 Wardens, 4 Armigers, and Astra Militarum Battalion.
Nice.
And so it's kind of funky and crazy, but the Wardens will have the chain sword, not the fist. Because it's cheaper. It's 5 points cheaper.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And it doesn't have -1 to hit. But
Does it have room for a Pokeball?
Yes, I do have the Pokeball Assassin in it. I've basically, now that I know mine are coming in the mail, I've basically started to build all my lists with the 85 points.
Yes, as you should. Any Imperium player should. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't before because I literally didn't have any of the assassins. But so we're going to do that challenge. And then I think that what we'll do is we'll update like progress with the army and stuff like that for the Patreon. So if you want to see how the painting is coming along and like what the decals are going to look like and stuff and what events we think we're going to take it to, and you want those kind of updates, then that'll be Patreon group. But if all you want to hear is just like how we did with it in a broad sense, then that'll be like on the show. But if you're interested in seeing the army develop and us talk about strategy for using it and what kind of matchups we're going to take, or what kind of matchups we think we'd want and how we think we would do with it, given different metas and where we're going to play it, then you'll need to be in the Patreon group for that.
Sounds good. So we're looking forward to that. Apparently we're doing the hate coup later this year.
No.
So keep a lookout for that.
Damn right we are.
No, I'm just not going to mention it again. You'll all forget.
Same time. We'll probably do it the same time of the year as last year.
You guys are all old.
I will not forget. I will not forget.
Definitely won't forget.
You two will forget, and I'll have to off Tom somehow.
No. Oh, I know Tom's all over this. So.
I know.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I know, right? So one of the last things we mentioned, Hammer Wrath is later this year. It is at the second weekend in August at Game Empire in Pasadena.
Mm-hmm. This is our local GT that's been going on for what, 4 or 5 years?
This is the 5th year.
5th year.
So in previous years, we've always given out a LVO champs ticket and a ticket to the convention.
Yep.
This year, we've decided to up the prize for the ticket to the convention. So for the winner, in addition to receiving the LVO 40K champs ticket, they'll be getting the LVO high roller package.
Damn.
As a prize.
That's
if
how
you
much
don't
is
know
that?
what that is,
That's a good prize. What is the retail on that going for this year?
160.
That's a good first place prize. Because
So
that bag that they give away
Yeah.
is worth way more than 160.
Oh yeah,
Every
there's so
year.
many games in there.
Games, the shirts, the cups, the tokens, all that stuff. They give so much stuff away in those bags. It's amazing.
Was it the first LVO or AOS? Debuted? They gave away Shadespire. They gave away the starter pack and
the whole box.
Yeah,
John got his. I gave him
That's
mine.
right. Still sitting under my painting desk.
Mine is also actually.
Nice. Very nice.
I painted all my Shadespire stuff.
I put mine together. Does that count?
No.
Fortunately, it didn't pick up at the store because someone killed it.
It did not.
Of course.
2 people killed it, actually.
Oh, great. I have 2 people to blame. I really like that fucking game too.
Shadespire?
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah, well, now they have a new, after Night Vault, there's a new version coming out. I forget what it was called.
There's going to be a new, that shows how much I've been keeping up.
Shadowspire?
There's going to be a new edition.
New supplement.
Oh, okay.
Are they going to call it Shadowspire or Semi-Shady Spire? Or Slightly Into the Sunspire?
Okay, John.
Sun-kissed spire. It's the opposite of shade
Yes,
spire.
so-
Sun-kissed spire.
You know what? You're not funny, John.
I know. I'm aware that I'm not funny. It's fine.
He's
I don't
not
care.
witty. So it was a high roller package. It's part of the top prize. Other prizes for things like best painted, just usual stuff. Just go to our Facebook page. We have the link up. You can also just look up Hammer Wrath Grand Tournament or Hammer Wrath GT, and you'll find the information there. Signs up. In addition, we have a few new sponsors. One of them is Hammerhead Games.
Mhm.
Which you can go to at hammerheadgames.net. John,
I didn't even go to say it.
I know.
And I've said it right the last bunch of times I've said it. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sure you have.
You know how
It also includes Squad Marks, Mechanical Warhorse, 3D6 Wargaming is one of our sponsors. They're actually going to be making some custom objective markers for us. For those that don't know, they're the ones that make the neoprene objective markers.
Those are cool. My round 5 opponent, round 4 opponent, one of the two used those. They were awesome. They were really cool. There was like no questioning, no argument about where your guys were in relation to the objectives. Those neoprene objective markers were really cool.
Yeah,
Very
and that's 3d6wargaming.com. And they sell them with their logo, but you can also get if you have the files, you can also get custom logos on those objectives. So give them a look. We're still hopefully getting more sponsors, but that's what we have so far. The first 20 people that sign up will get a special. I call it goodie bag. I don't want to call it a swag bag because it's not going to be like you'd get at LVO. But it's just a few things, sampling, I guess, of different products that the sponsors make. So make sure you look that up, sign up for that. Again, that's at the second weekend in August at Game Empire Pasadena. I hope to see everybody there. Speaking of LVO tickets,
Mm-hmm.
Go on sale this Saturday.
June 1st.
That's what I hear on the street.
Word on the street. June 1st. So make sure you get your tickets early. They did sell out fairly quickly last year for the champs. I don't recall if we said how many this year, but it's at least. I'm just going to say 1,000 just because.
It's too many. I bet is what the answer is.
Yeah.
Too many.
I wouldn't go saying there's a ton of them because then people are going to be like, I procrastinated and buy them because TFG Radio told me there were thousands.
But even if it's at 1,000, they'll sell out. So
yes,
don't count on them being available like the month before, like in December. Just a reminder: this year LVO's in January. It's the week before the Super Bowl, as opposed to the week after.
Last weekend in January.
I know that is causing issues for some of us.
Yep.
Shall remain nameless.
It's always the last weekend in January is always the weekend I have to be at work on Sunday.
So
whose fault is that, really?
It's
I guess it's my fault for needing a job.
It is. Why weren't you born rich? You're just lazy.
I know. It's all my fault.
Certainly the right skin color for it.
Wow, that's just racist.
Yes, it is. Or at least a higher chance. Let me put it that way.
Sure.
But as far as I know, all three of us are still going.
Yeah, I'll still be there. I just have to leave Saturday night.
Yeah, that's fine. I think all the judges from last year will be there. So I look forward to it. I think the tickets were on sale around this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
So start planning now. We're almost at, like I talked about before, where I kind of like forget shit, like rules and other shit, or I try to anyway. Once it's over, and then it kind of ramps up as we get closer. So this is a part where it starts to ramp up, especially since the second FAQ.
The FAQ to the FAQ.
Well, that's a whole nother thing. So in addition to the big FAQ for spring, we got a FAQ to the FAQ.
It wasn't an FAQ. They were just,
it was an addendum,
clarifying and smoothing things out.
Sure. For those that don't know, they clarified the difference between paroxysm and the what's it called, the mask from Dark Eldar,
Venerator mask,
so that they both have the same effect, which means, or any ability, Belt of Rust. I think there's a couple of things that make people go after all other units have fought.
Mm-hmm.
you can still CP your way out of that. Or now you can see. Oh man, they really just
I
felt
never
like
ruled it that way.
pyramids.
We never ruled it that way. We always ruled it like, no, you still start.
Yeah, we ruled it the
blasting
opposite, but they.
I don't remember.
No, it's fine.
That's their game. They get to they get to decide how the rules are.
I've said it many times. I am more than happy if they rule against me, as long as they have made a ruling.
They actually clarified and actually answered a couple extra questions. I'm more than happy that they answered questions we actually asked.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, that's. I just want them to answer the FAQs and answer questions, and I don't have any dog in the fight because like we get that question sometimes. Well, you guys didn't rule it that way, so like, do you think that that's right? You know what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that
is
irrelevant. And I literally don't care. Like, I don't have an actual dog in the fight. We made a ruling at LVO to the best of our ability, and they said no, that's not the way we want it. Awesome. I am more than happy because now they've officially said, and I no longer have to answer the stupid question.
Right.
Yes, you will.
Or at least if I do, I can at least just point to this thing here.
Or walk up to the table, they ask you the question and go, have you read your FAQ?
Yeah.
Right.
So that came out. I know. I don't know really yet what other events are at LVO, because we'll know on Saturday once the website goes live.
Yeah. Yep.
What other events we get thrown into?
Well, we're doing that. We do the RTT, the Sunday RTT every year. Last year they had us do the Friday RTT.
Oh, that's right, we did.
Which was fine because they
there was
basically
like 10 players, right?
No, it was just the one heat, so it was just the 8 players.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully they won't expand it.
They will. I
narrator.
just expect everything to just get bigger.
I know, right?
Basically, right?
But so I look forward to that. Look forward to seeing everybody there again. Just be sure to get just as a quick tip, buy the 40K Champs ticket first. They'll never run out of convention tickets.
No, they will not.
So if you can't afford if the prices are more or less the same, $120 for both, get the Champs tickets first. You can always get the ticket afterwards because they never sell out of that.
Right.
Yeah, make sure you buy the event things first, not the con badge.
Yeah, the con badge is always going to be bought later. Also, crap! I just lost my train of thought.
Did you just have a stroke?
No, I'd be talking a lot different than if I had a stroke. Trust me.
Yeah, we're not that lucky, Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see that?
He's not the one I'm rooting for.
Oh man! And I'm the one who gets called out.
Wow.
Well,
you literally are rooting for somebody to die. How are you the nice one? You're rooting for somebody to die.
We all are, John. Don't lie.
Yeah, don't act like you're not on that trolley, buddy.
I don't know what trolley you're referring to. I'm the nice one.
If you want to know at home, buy us a beer.
Join the Patreon group. We'll tell you all about it.
You join the Patreon group. We'll definitely tell you guys about that.
TFG Uncensored.
If this isn't already, right? But like I said, it's probably the big event I look forward to every year. I know I'll be in 3 weeks, actually. I'll be in Vegas not for LVO, but I'll be there for the Gentlemen and Ladies GT at the Wasteland Games weekend, put on by Hammerhead Games, and I think it's the War Room store in Vegas.
Yep.
I know there's actually a bunch of people going that I know. And then 2 weeks after that, I'll be at Boise. I'll be actually playing and losing, trying to beat my worst record of 2-4. I'll be there with Alan. And I get to go on a 15-hour drive with Alan back.
Cool.
So
that's really the prize there.
So I'll make sure to record as much of it as I can, maybe for the Patreon members, and as evidence in case both of us end up dead.
And for those of you wondering, Alan and Jeff weren't on this one, even though we went to the BAO together, because they're going to cover their BAO experience on Focus Fire.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to have it on both episodes of the podcast.
Right. No one cares that much.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to everything 3 times.
You'd be surprised.
Well, there's some people who do, because they just hear like 5 different Codex reviews that all say the same thing. They
Which is also, guys, why we don't do Codex reviews. I'm sorry.
So I'll be there in June. In July, I'll be judging the Slaughterfest GT in Temecula. No, but yeah, at the Pachanga. And then after that is Hammer Wrath. And then I'll be going, like I mentioned, I'll be going to SoCal Open, and then LVO after that. I don't think there's anything else.
Nice.
I'm hoping to go to SoCal. We'll see.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys see this corn list posted by Go Boy?
No, but I am already at half mast.
Okay.
Wow.
He's nearly full chub. All right. So the first thing is this
like 40%.
40%. It's a Chaos Space Marine Battalion, Alpha Legion.
30%.
The HQs are Chaos Lord on Juggernaut,
20%.
Mark of Corn, Relic Hydroblade, Chaos Lord on Juggernaut with double lightning claws, Chaos Lord on Juggernaut with double lightning claws, then Space Marines Mark of Corn, and then 10 Cultists Mark of Corn times 2. Then there's another battalion, Chaos Space Marine Battalion Specialist Detachment Soul Forged Pack, Field Commander, and then it's
back up to 3%.
That one's 3 Lord Discordants Mark of Corn.
Okay, 60%.
Then that's 3 Cultist Units Mark of Corn. Then the third is a Chaos Demons Corn Battalion with Demon Prince of Chaos, Mark of Corn, Wings, Demonic Axe, Skull Reaver. And then
75%.
And then Skullmaster. And then 3 20-man Bloodletter Bombs with Icons and Instrument.
I can fucks with that.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's a cool list. If
I
you are
don't
interested in that list, go to
Juggerlords.
Bell of Lost Souls because that's where I posted it.
Not a fan of Juggerlords.
No, I think they're too expensive for what they do. I think
They might mesh well with the Discordants, right? Just in
yeah,
terms
Lord
of,
Discordants are good.
going up the board with together.
Yeah, but I mean, and they're just because they're under 10 wounds, they're pretty safe because they have to shoot the Lord Discordants first, and I mean, it's just I don't know. I'm just not super impressed, especially because I'm just gonna say it as much as I love Corn. If you're going to have an Alpha Legion unit or an Alpha Legion detachment, then just take Sorcerers as your 2 HQs so you have Death Hex.
Yeah, Death Hex is pretty important.
It's just so good. It's just so necessary, too, because especially, like, let's just be real, the Gem Vessel era is really just the 60 Plague Bearers or whatever you will have to deal with at some point in a tournament nowadays. And Death Hex is like the best answer Chaos has for that, because then suddenly those Bloodletters can actually do something to that unit.
Yeah. Death Hex is
And
also
that's
good if
assuming
you
you get
happen
it
to get it off against the Seer Council.
Yeah.
Like if you happen to get it, which we were talking about in chat, and yeah, it is harder to do because this is Seer Council, but if you get that off against the Seer Council, it's going to melt.
Yeah, you win, right? Like that basically gives you the game because that Death Star goes away.
Yeah, basically.
So I mean, I like it. I think if I would run, I could see myself running something like it. I'd actually probably do, especially with 3 Bloodletter Bombs, I would do the Red Corsairs, so, Spiky 17 or whatever, just to get 3 more CPs and just use 2 Sorcerers and save the points to maybe flesh out another squad or add something or do like the big I really like the idea of like a 10 or 15 man Red Corsairs CSM unit that you're not really aggressive with. You give them a missile launcher so they can just maybe pop a shot off, and they're just there of if you're canny about hiding most of them, just letting the missile launcher maybe shoot every now and then. If something actually takes them out or hurts them, it's rare to pick them up, and then you can CSM Tide of Traitors them back in, the Red Corsair stratagem, and just bring them back in to take another objective somewhere else, right? Like it just becomes this really great backfield holder that's really resilient in cover to a lot of out of LOS shooting. And even if something gets an assault off because there's maybe 10 or 15, they're not necessarily all going to die, and you just need one to live.
Yeah. True.
But I liked in general the idea of the list. And again, I think Lord Discordants are just good. If I had the cash, I would have 3 of them already, and I would run them instead of Warglaves because they're just better Warglaves for the most part.
Right. I watched Jade run Lord Discordant as the flawed host.
Oh yeah, for the super ultra, I make 1,000,000 attacks.
Well, yeah, he was able to basically get 40 attacks, close combat attacks from one Lord Discordant. Again, and that's against Imperium. I mean, it took all 40 to kill 3 custode bikers. But,
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's all for tonight.
Yeah.
If there's any last things from the chat, I don't think so.
Does not look like it.
Our ramblings went on and on.
Our ramblings went on and on. We lost 8 viewers.
Nice. I don't know. I'm assuming. I'm just glad to have a viewer. That's not just me checking on the chat.
This is true. But so if you like the show, go ahead and go like it on YouTube and on the iTunes, Facebook, Twitch, Facebook, and then also
everywhere the interwebs goes.
Everywhere the interwebs go. And then if you want to get the inside scoop on our different contests, like the night contest we're doing, or on the haiku stuff, which is dumb, but sure. If you want to torture me,
you're the one that reminded me of it.
If you want to torture me and you want the insiders, go ahead and you can give to the Patreon, and then you can get into the private Patreon Facebook group. No, don't like us on Grindr or Tinder, because if we're on there, then that's just Adam.
Yeah,
and
I'm not gonna say which one.
Unless you, I mean, it's fine. Unless you want to cozy up to Adam on Grindr or Tinder, sure, but otherwise, it's not necessary, really. He also doesn't need that type of ego boost, so you could probably just skip it.
Oh my God, pot meet kettle. But Danny, any last words?
I still have the worst record at a GT this season, so I can't make fun of John, sadly.
All right.
Wow.
But
all right,
I have
integrity. Thank God.
Integrity.
I thought I was the one with the integrity.
Clearly not.
No, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, you still have more integrity than I do, John. Don't worry.
Right.
That doesn't take much.
I'm not on Grindr or Tinder trying to get hookers and blow.
I'm pretty sure that's just Adam's catfish accounts.
Catfish.
Yes.
Sick.
I make my money.
Good job.
You got to pay those bills somehow, man. I don't judge. Yep. We're all trying to survive out here.
It's true.
All right.
It's very true.
John, any last words besides your the advertising, the hate coup?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Hopefully, we'll have an episode of Focus Fire next week. They can talk about their experience at BAO.
I mean, assuming that podcast doesn't fall apart by then, sure.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
You can see we're very supportive of our burgeoning podcast.
It's fine. I'm just trying to give Alan a push to make sure he does it.
Not salty.
That's not salty. I'm just being realistic. Making sure that he wants to get it done. That's all.
Oh my God! All right, so
he's as good a thing as any to keep a man going.
That is true.
I mean, yeah, he needs the inspiration, right?
Yeah.
Good night, everybody, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Later.
See ya.